Hello and welcome to episode 479 of the Mark and Me podcast. As always, I'm your host Mark. Now joining me on today's episode is Jacob and David from the absolutely awesome band Good Kid. Now I can't wait to get to this interview because like Don Broco last week, there's two guests, the dynamic is brilliant. I'm fascinated by this band. I love all the visuals, I love all the artwork, I love the whole concept of the whole band, and it's something that's come new to me. So last week, Don Broco, a band I've been listening to for probably a decade, huge fan. Good Kid are a band that have only just come into my world, but I've gone back, listened to all their stuff. I've become slightly obsessed. I absolutely adore them. And as you're listening to this right now, their brand new album, which has got a great title, Can We Hang Out Sometime, is out now. It's absolutely phenomenal. All their existing EPs are great, and I'm just literally getting infatuated with them. Look at the artwork, look at all the visualizations, look at all the thought that goes into this. It's absolutely phenomenal, and they will be coming to the UK later this year. I can't wait to see them live, and they're just getting bigger and bigger, and you will listen to this album, and it's just the perfect time for this album to come out. The sun's starting to come out, the days are longer, the evenings feel lighter, and when you put this album on, you'll get yourself lost in that moment. It's just wonderful. So please go and listen to that album after listening to the interview with the band coming up in just a couple of minutes' time. But before we get to that, let's talk about Don Broco. My God, this episode was huge. It came out only a few days ago. It was me, Rob and Si. We talked about Ruben. We talked about Ruben. We talked about Ruben. And we talked about Ruben. It was so good. I loved every minute of the podcast. Thanks so much to Don Broco and the guys from the band for sharing it. The numbers have been insane. And as we sit here at the start of April, it's my most downloaded episode of 2026. So thank you guys for pushing that. And amazing work on the brand new album, which is absolutely unbelievable and a true masterpiece that I've been obsessed with since I've had an advance copy. Right then guys, let's get to today's interview because hey, time's ticking and I want you to hear it. So, here is me and Good Kid.
You're everything I'm thinking of from time to time and dust to dust.
So thanks both for joining me today on the Mark and Me podcast.
Yeah, well, thanks for having us.
It's an absolute pleasure. So what I do, guys, with every episode of Mark and Me is I always like to take it right back to the very start. And I'm not talking about the very start of your band. I'm talking about you guys growing up. And everyone remembers that first album, even if it's a terrible one that they don't like to admit. But everyone has that first album that was either given to you by a friend or a family member, or you went out there with your own pocket money. You invested in it. You fell in love with it. But that first one, if you can remember, it's honesty time, guys. Don't try and be cool if it's the worst, most embarrassing moment of your life, or if it's the most classic album that just kills everyone else.
I mean, mine's really embarrassing, but I'm excited to talk about it. It was the Sharon Lois and Bram Greatest Hits album. That was really a good start. That's when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And we listened to, peanut butter, and jelly. That was a big one. Skin of a rinky dinky. This might actually, now that I think about it, be a very Canadian thing.
I've heard that on, I think it's on TikTok or an Instagram reel, but I've definitely heard that rhyme you were just singing then.
Yeah, I think this is, if I'm not mistaken, very Canadian. But then the first real commercial thing I had was back in the day, they used to have these promotional CDs with one song on them. And I remember Godzilla, the one that came out in the 90s with Matthew Broderick. They had I think it was P. Diddy's Come With Me.
Yeah, that was a great soundtrack.
Yeah, the CD only had the one song, and I would listen to it on loop. Because I thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever heard. But then the first real album I had was Dookie by Green Day. That was a big starting album for me.
We will talk
Yeah,
about that very shortly because there's a tie-in where you'll be like, oh, okay, especially with Dookie because it holds a massive place in my heart. But we'll get to that in a
Nice.
moment. Can you top this, or is yours something a bit
I
more well
maybe my
known?
no, mine's definitely more. It might be more well known, but it's way nerdier than David's. I didn't. I'm a little bit weird. I didn't really grow up listening to music.
Okay.
I really started listening to music when I started playing guitar. And I was around maybe like in my early teens at that point. But I think it was maybe the Digimon soundtrack, which there's a Digimon movie that they made, and it has
Wow.
a crazy good soundtrack at the time. It's like I think it's got like Smash Mouth, Fatboy Slim, Len, Bare Naked Ladies, the Mighty Mighty Boss Stones, Less Than Jake. So it's not like I'm thinking about this one because a lot of my early music taste was probably developed through this soundtrack. I really like ska. I really like punk.
Yeah.
And these are like very gateway ska punk bands. You know what I mean? Like Less Than Jake and Mighty Body Boss Stones are very ska punk or more ska leaning, but like also bridging into a little bit of punk rock.
Are we not
So I
going to
think
talk
that
about
was
your
my entry
first
point.
concert
My
being
first concert
Hillary
was
Duff?
Hillary Duff, but that's just because that was the first
Wow.
concert I went to because a friend of mine she got gifted Hillary Duff tickets for her birthday, and I was a massive Hillary Duff fan.
So that's where it ties in. My next question normally is first gig, and I was very lucky. I got to see Green Day on their Dookie tour.
Nice.
So I was really grateful. My parents dropped me off, and I tell this story a lot, but I came home and all I wanted to do was be in a band. I saw Billy Joe Armstrong and was just like, this guy is incredible. The way that, at that point, Green Day were only a free piece. They didn't have all
Yeah.
the extra guitarists and stuff. And they just sounded unbelievable. Came home and it changed my life, and that got me into bands like Offspring and then
Mm,
Silverchair and Deftones, and it grew from there. But you were just literally talking about Godzilla soundtrack, and that was unbelievable. Like that had Rage Against the Machine, Ben's Fold 5, Silverchair, and Foo Fighters.
yeah.
So that was a great way of discovering unbelievable bands. But Hilary Duff, now, can you top that as your first gig, or is yours cooler or a more local
No.
band?
The first show I ever went to was a band. It was a punk band in Toronto that I can't even say the name of it because it's just so offensive, I think. They are no longer a band. Uh, but that was the first show I went to. I did learn a lot about concert etiquette from that show because I remember going to like the front of the stage, like right up to the stage. And I looked around and like there was just no one standing where I was. And I was like, oh, this is great. This is like, 18-year-old me, 17-year-old me at my first ever like concert. And I look behind me and there's just this wall of very, very angry men sort of like staring towards the stage. And they're all like kind of shuffling left and right. And they're all like amped up for some reason. And then as soon as the concert actually started, they all come rushing towards the stage and just pummeling my body in every direction. And so I learned kind of the hard way that at punk shows, you kind of have to pick your spot in the room
Yeah.
So funny.
because otherwise you're going to get beat up.
Yeah, one of my first, after seeing Green Day, I don't know how my parents agreed to this at the time, but I went to Ozfest. I think it was
Oh, nice.
1997, so I was like 15, and it was Slayer, Pantera, Black Sabbath, and
Oh my
the
God.
the moment
Wow.
Slayer came on, there was just bikers running, punching each other. It was genuinely like, you see in a film. And I just was terrified. I was like, "What am I doing? I'm 15 and I'm about to get punched in the head by
That
a
was
big."
my first actual like non-seated show was No Effects, and it was a similar experience to that of like they weren't that crazy as like
No.
Slayer, but the crowds were definitely really rowdy and like especially depending on the songs that were being played, it's like that's also when I learned, oh, like if the song goes hard, the crowd goes hard. I don't think that's like an intuitive thing when you haven't been to like a show where you're standing in a pit before, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then that's when you learn like, oh, this song is playing, I'm gonna get the hell out of here, or vice versa. It like takes control of you and you're in the pit and you're like, why am I here? But you're like, you're having the best time ever, you know what I mean?
So when was it, both of you, that you felt like I want to do what they're doing. You've seen some great bands. You've had Hilary Duff on stage in front of you. You've been to festivals. You've obviously got involved in lots of bands and stuff and music. But when was it when you thought, I want to be in a band? I want to. Did you do the whole college battle of the bands thing and, do the whole covers bands, or were you both just like, I want to do our own thing?
I mean, it's
Well,
me and
I
David actually went to high school together,
Yeah.
and so our high school really, really cool had a Battle of the Bands program that like didn't exist. I think it was the first year they had run it was when um, we were there, and I think it's because of the rise of bands like The Strokes and even honestly Blink-182 and like My Chemical Romance and like all there's band culture was really big at
mm,
that age range for us. And so as a result, there just happened to be a lot of kids. We were in a really small high school, by the way. It was like 1,000 kids. And for Toronto, that's a very, very that's like one of the smallest public schools in the entire city. But there was somehow like a big critical mass of people in bands, enough to put on a battle of the bands where there's like 10 to 15 different acts to play at least like two
I
songs.
think that was a big timeline jump for you and me too, because I remember we played. I think you and I both played the same. It wasn't the Battle of the Bands, but it was a lot of like a bands showcase kind of night at high
Yeah.
school. And I remember I did my first ever live acoustic performance that night. It went great. I did a cover song. I remember you played that night too, but you also almost ran on stage because someone was borrowing your guitar.
I
And
almost killed my friend.
yeah, and it was the
I,
same night. And so you and I spiritually collided in many different ways that night. But I think the big one for me was you. Shout out to your buddy Vuk, who held you
oh
back,
yeah.
because that would have been
The
a very
the
different.
story here Dave was talking about is like there was a battle of the bands and that we played, and this was actually the second year they had done it, and one of my friends was in another band and he didn't have a guitar. His guitar, he said, quote unquote, it's just like it stopped working is what he told me. And he was like, "Can I use your guitar?" And I was like, "You can use it." But I had seen them do like their dress rehearsal earlier in the day, and I saw that he like was trying to flip his guitar around his neck.
Oh God.
And I was like, you can use it as long as you do not do that. I was like, I don't trust that you can get this done. Like, it's not going to go well. Like, I'm pretty sure this is why your guitar doesn't work right now. I was like, so if you can promise me you're not going to try to do that move, like, you can use my guitar. And then sure enough, he took it, he did that move. It flew off his neck. The guitar went flying and cracked. I still have that guitar. It's this red guitar behind me. It's my first guitar ever. And it has like a bunch of cracks in it from him dropping it. And that's what Dave was talking about. Because when that happened, I just like, I don't know. I was young, I was stupid, but I just saw red and I was like, I'm gonna kill this guy. And I just
Yeah.
ran at the stage to like I was kind of what I was gonna do. Was I gonna punch him or something? I don't even know. And then one of my friend who's like 6'3", I'm a small guy, and my friend who's like 6'3" and like big, he literally grabbed me by the waist and like held me back. And I was like, let me at him, let me at him. And then all was happening side stage. But I might have got like expelled from school. Like
I
I
was
don't
gonna
if I punch
say that would be a big thing the next day. Like, we need you to come to see the headmaster. There's a big talk. This is a school event. We're not happy with the way you conducted yourself. Get out of
I
town.
Mm.
it might have ruined my life, like genuinely. I'm very happy that didn't happen, but yeah, that's a real story that happened
Yeah, your
on
buddy's
a
a bit
Battle
of
of
a
the Bands.
guardian angel because, like, he also when Jacob and I formed our first band out of high school, it was his guitar pedal that we were borrowing. I'm pretty sure, right?
Oh,
The
that's true. Yeah. His
Jekyll and
Jekyll and
Hyde. So
Hyde.
he's been guiding us along for years
Yeah,
now.
shout out to Vuk.
Yeah,
But yeah,
massive shout out.
but to answer your actual question here of like, yeah, our high school had a lot of programs for this stuff. I think
Yeah.
both me and David started playing covers. Like I was in a cover band. I was in two cover bands. I was in a Strokes cover band and a Blink-182 cover band. And that's kind of how I learned how to play music in ensembles. And the Battle of the Bands is a really good goal for kids. You know what I mean? It's like you get added to the bill and you're just like we got to practice all the time and we have to get really good and it just forces you to get better and better and play with other people. So for me personally, I was in a lot of cover bands and I did that way before I ever tried to even attempt to write a song. I don't think I had the confidence to try to write a song until way later.
It's strange because I do teaching as well at a college within music and music technology, and it's amazing in the UK that there's been this resurgence of the Strokes. And well, I'm talking to these students that are 16 to 18, and they're coming in and they're like, "Have you heard the Strokes?" I'm like, "Fuck you! I was there when they originally were around," But people are really starting to like fall back in love with the Strokes again, and I'm like, where have you all been for these years? Because they are so good, one of the best debut albums of all time, and
I
there's
can't
not
believe
enough love.
how did it take The Adults Are Talking for them to win the Grammy? You know what I mean? Like they had two of the biggest rock
I know,
albums of all time and the most influential rock albums of all time, and they didn't get a Grammy for either of those. And it took the latest. I mean, look, I like the last record, but I'm not like that's like they have such good stuff. It's crazy that that was what it took.
I know. It's I don't know. Perhaps it's like one of those things where they like kind of they just owe it them, so they just
They're
kind of do it
due.
later on. Yeah, like Leonardo
Yeah.
DiCaprio with an Oscar, they're like, okay, it's not your best film, you've done much better, but here it is to make up for all
Yeah.
the times we rejected you.
We robbed you of all the other times you should have won this award.
Hey, I don't care as long as the kids are listening to the Strokes. I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, it's good.
That's
It's really
exciting.
cool. And I've just then literally done it myself. I've just been then driving into work and reminded myself of those good times, 20 years ago seeing them at festivals thinking there isn't another band that sound like this. And then there's that breakthrough of the bands like The Hives and all the great bands that came along with it. And it was just this movement in this scene where nearly every band had the before their name, but it was
Yeah.
incredible. It was just absolutely awesome. And I can't remember a time when there was so much kind of diversity in music where people were just like, it felt like all these underground bands that have been working away was suddenly getting their light and their moment.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I was saying of like the band culture was really big back like at that time. And that's
Yeah.
what like spawned an entire generation of people playing guitar in rock bands and prioritizing that kind of sound. Um, and I do see a bit of a resurgence to that feeling. Maybe it's a counteract. Like my theory is that it's a bit of a counteraction to digital. Um, like as digital media gets more and more saturated, people want things that are a little bit more lo-fi, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, I don't mean like lo-fi beats. I mean like relatable and
Yeah.
real
Mhm.
and analog a little bit more.
Just more
Um,
raw.
more
Yeah,
raw.
raw's the
Yeah.
word, definitely. And I mean, I absolutely love a lot of the bands that are out right now, but they're so well polished and so well produced. You get these bands like, and they're incredible, like Sleep Token and stuff that are headlining and playing stadiums all over the world, but they're so polished. I
Mm.
think people are crying out for that grungy, raw garage band sounding, just where it sounds like a mic is just put into one room and everyone's just performing. Not
Yeah.
everything is perfect.
I
Mhm.
was just telling David today, actually, one of my favorite records is a blues record by a blues musician named Robert Johnson. And this guy has so much lore about him. Like he's the guy who they said there's like a famous legend of a musician who sells his soul to the devil to become famous. And that story I think started from him because he recorded a one blues album. I think he did it in one setting. He just went to like a recording studio. It's just him and his guitar. His guitar wasn't even necessarily in tune. It was just like in tune to him, if that makes sense. Like he would tune it to the song. He's like, oh, I got to play this song. I'm just going to tune it. And as a result, it was really, really hard for people to figure out how to play these songs because it wasn't in any sort of standard tuning that like people knew about. But it was just like very raw and very much him. And then that record was like massively successful. And then I think he got shot and died like very soon after that, which is where the legend comes from because
Yeah.
everyone's like, oh, this kind of came out of nowhere, was amazing, and now he's gone. Um, but but yeah, it's just like there's something really cool about this like irreproducible moment captured in music.
And for the listeners today, some of them obviously tune into the podcast because they like to discover new bands, and there's obviously bands that have got legendary status. But with yourselves, you're on this absolute huge kind of ascending moment where the numbers are just absolutely insane. Your streaming numbers you couldn't probably even have dreamed of when you started the band. And I wondered, did you have when you guys formed the band? Did you think to yourself, I want Good Kid to have this certain milestone, like headline a certain festival, or get a certain support slot with a band, or have a certain goal, or were you just going out there and just kind of enjoying it and not really worrying about all the stuff that the label cares about and everything else?
I think David had grand ambitions and ideas that I didn't even know about at the time. We talked about this recently, but for me personally, no. It's kind of for me. I think it's one of those things where you don't really know what's possible until you do something, and then you see like kind of what the next phase of that could potentially be. But that, so when we were starting out, really like the main goal was just like play specific rooms in Toronto that
Yeah.
we thought were cool and that we liked and that like we would see bands at shows. So for us, it's like the Horseshoe Tavern was a big goal, like a big like white whale for Good Kid, because we had been to so many shows at this famous venue. The Rolling Stones had played there, the Strokes played
Oh,
there,
nice.
like all the bands that came up. It's just like it's like a 500 cap room that has been there forever. So everyone has kind of come through and played there. Um, and so for us, that was like I remember that was like a big goal. And that was a little bit in our sights of like, oh, maybe one day we could play that. And then we got that. And then we would try to figure out how do we do it. We found that there was like, a promoter that we had to get in good with and get him to like us. But to get him to like us, we had to play another venue. It's just like kind of like stepping stones of figuring out what that goal is. And then once we played that show, it was like, okay, well, what's next? We just hit this big goal. Do we want to play something else? And so for us, it was always this very gradual, I think, growth thing that we had to learn ourselves. Part of that is probably because we're an indie band. We've always been indie.
Yeah.
And I think we just didn't have anyone around to tell us like what the next step was. So we always kind of had to figure it out as we went. And so we have bigger ambitions now. Like we definitely want to headline a festival one day. We definitely want to do like support shows for like, if My Chemical Romance announced a tour, I would love to open for them or Five Seconds of Summer, or any of these bands that I really like. But in general, I think I would say it wasn't that we knew that those things were even possible for a long time. And as every time we hit one milestone, the next thing be, made it seem like we could actually attain it.
Well, because people kept telling us that we weren't there yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also
Like
true.
every step of the way, you had someone being like, "Well, you're not quite there yet. You're not quite there yet." I remember, I think when it started to feel real, I remember there was a time. This is also when we realized that our manager, Crispin, is like kind of our like ride or die friend. Like he's really, really in it with us. And we noticed this when the Strokes were in town. And jokingly, we were like, "Yo, Crispin, you want to hit up the Strokes, see if we can open for them?" This was at like Budweiser stage, which is like 5,000 cap room. It can go up to 15,000 if the lawn's open. And Crispin took that and said, "Oh, okay, I don't think that's a good idea. I'm gonna do it though." And just went ahead and he emailed them, and we were like, "Kristen, we were kidding, obviously, but
Yeah.
I think he started to kind of believe in us." And the band that ended up opening for the Strokes, they're a great band. They weren't that much
They were
larger.
pretty much the same size as us. They were just like on the
Yeah.
same man. They were just I think they were on the same management or the same label as the Strokes, and that's
Mhm.
probably why they got. But like it did make us realize like it wasn't a crazy ask.
No.
Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is we were starting to realize that every step of the way, even though we had people saying like, "Well, you're not quite there yet. You're not quite there yet. You're not quite there yet." We were starting to get there. Like very gradually, we were taking these little steps forward, as we've always done. This band is very lucky that it has had these slow, gradual climbs towards different milestones. We've never sort of like rocketed all at the same time out of nowhere. So 'cause we've been able to sort of enjoy the being in a band journey every
Yeah.
step of the way. We've played all the different size rooms. We've gone to these different sort of events, and we eventually um, got to something like Lollapalooza, which was such a huge milestone for us as a band. But it was every kind of step of the way, being just told like, "Okay, soon, maybe eventually," and then now it's feeling like pretty much anything we want to do, if we're willing to work hard for it and just keep pushing, can maybe happen. So um, yeah, I think that's kind of how it unfolded.
Are you guys ever able to take a step back and recognize how far you've come in the time? Like, I know you said you have this milestone, you meet it, and then you set yourself another kind of, oh, we've done that now, so let's keep going, and the sky's the limit. But do you recognize and be able to reflect, or is it too much that it's so kind of incorporated within you because it's your band and you're writing the songs and you're performing? Do you notice the crowds getting bigger? Do you notice more merch is being sold? Do you get to hear more people singing your songs back to you? Do you see these like, 700 million streams and then do you think, God, like is it too hard to digest or are you able to kind of keep track and kind of keep seeing the goals getting bigger?
I think the definitely the numbers are becoming these kind of unfathomable things. I mean, like if you get too bogged down in it and you start to follow listenership and that sort of thing, it becomes kind of hard to parse. But the thing that I think we all experience is the live shows
Yeah.
and the growth there with our community. And when we play these gigs and having a whole room of people singing your songs, that doesn't go away. That feeling of awe and that feeling of like, wow, this is really happening. Those moments are always there. And that kind of, for me, whenever we're on tour, those are the moments where I'm able to really take a step back and appreciate just how far we've come, and just how lucky we are to have the fans that we have and play the shows we're playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's I don't really have. I think some people struggle with this in the project, and um, for me, I don't. I don't know what it is, but I'm very what's the word? I'm never not appreciative of like the scale of what we're doing. I think maybe I'm just like very dialed into things, but it's like I mean, and maybe it's because I used to like be the person responding to every single DM that we
Yeah.
had, and then I'm now the person who can't keep up with the DMs. You know what I mean? Like it's literally not possible for me to do that, and so like I'm constantly. I think I just have a lot of reminders of all the time of like, wow, we have a crazy community here. Or I stream Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and that's like an opportunity for me to engage with like our community like pretty directly. And so I'm always seeing people coming in and telling these like crazy stories of how much our music means to them. And I get to, it's not like, I think a lot of musicians don't necessarily get to interact with their fans in that same way in
No.
such a regular cadence. So I can see how people, maybe not, the word is not to get numb to it, but they might not even understand like the scope of like their impact on people who enjoy their art so much. Um, and so I think just being constantly reminded by fans coming into my chat and being like, "Oh my God, like, I just broke up with my girlfriend, and then I heard your song for the first time, and it like made me feel so much better." Or like the worst is when people like pass or people in their lives pass, and we get a message from a fan being like, this was my best friend's favorite song and she passed away and we're going to play
Oh
it at her
man.
funeral.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm hearing these stories constantly. Um, so it's really hard to like, it's hard to be like constantly hear those stories and read these things and not feel like you're doing something right. You know what I mean? Um, so I think that's kind of, I think for me, that's where like that appreciation probably comes from more, and why I'm like constantly reminded of this stuff. More so than the numbers. We've also had huge swings. Like we came really close to hitting 3 million monthly listeners at one point, and then we dropped like 600,000 listeners over the course of like 6 months, and we were like freaking out. We're like, is it over for the band? You know what
Devastating.
I
I
mean?
never recovered.
Yeah, so and now we're above 3 million again, and it's just like if you focus so much on those things, it's like it's so hard to at that scale, it's so hard to control anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's hard to say you have like direct impact on how many people listen to you when you're talking about millions of people, and the fluctuations of like algorithmic play can be so high that I try to always ground it to like specific people and their experience of the project.
I was looking as well. Obviously, your tour is huge, but we obviously get to see you over the pond. I think it's not till September, but you've got all these incredible shows in Newcastle, Glasgow, Birmingham, Manchester, London. It's huge. Are you guys really excited to get over here and play and, reach new fans and have fun? And I saw there's loads of great options to have VIP, which I love those ideas of these packages where you get to be really intimate with the band and see acoustics and, sound checks and everything else. It must be like a really exciting time to travel the world and meet these people.
All right, we love
There
the
are
UK.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there are so many reasons why we just love playing in the UK and Europe. We love playing everywhere, but I think in particular we've just found that like one, the audiences are so unbelievably hype at these
Yeah.
shows, like and the routing in the UK is for touring musicians, it's just something so nice. We've toured in the States where you're on a tour bus and the distance between one city to the other is like 12 hours,
Yeah.
and you're ripping it down a highway at 2 a.m. The bus is swaying left and right and you can't sleep, and you get there and you've slept a few hours. Um, it's pretty brutal on your sleep schedule, or you can take the van, but then you're driving throughout the day. So it's just there's not like a lot of easy solutions for touring in the States. when we get to the UK, the drives are so short that we all get to sleep. It's always on like, luckily, like a double decker. So you get like a good sleep, a good bunk. The speed limits are more manageable in the UK. Like the buses can only drive a certain speed limit. So it's like I sleep better on the bus in England than I do back home
David loves
at
good
this point.
logistics.
I was going to say, like, this is something that we just take for granted, but you guys get this, like, special golden treatment. We're
It,
just like, yeah, this is cool.
I think you
I
guys do
could
take for
tour.
granted. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you take for granted how small your country is in general. Like, even we're Canadian. Canada is literally the second biggest country by
Yeah.
landmass, right? And to see
It's so hard to tour it.
most Canadians will never see their country, like most of the country. You know what I mean? Like, well, it's just so hard. It's so big. Just to drive to Montreal is like 5 hours, and that's like Toronto, Montreal, the two closest. Like, I know so many people who spent their whole life in Toronto and have never seen like Vancouver because it's all the way on the other side of the country, and it's a flight. You can't like it's a flight or it's a multi-day drive to get there. You know what I mean? And I think I'm not saying like, I think people in the UK love the UK, but I also don't know if they that ex like it's a weird experience to it's so easy to like so many of the even our fans they'll come to multiple shows in the UK because it's so easy. They just get on a train. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's like
It's very
when it's
nice.
so accessible, it really when your country is that accessible, I think it really opens things up in a really cool way. That we don't get to necessarily experience where like the next major city is such a trek. It's really difficult to like appreciate your country in the same way.
It was
Um,
funny earlier on in the interview when you were like, "Oh, our school was only small." Like, did you say like 1,000
a
students?
thousand, yeah.
Like my school literally was like one of the biggest in our area, and we had 200.
Wild. Yeah.
Jacob,
Well,
I'm pretty
Toronto's
sure
the
it was
biggest city in
2,000.
Canada. No,
Yeah,
no, ours was not. Ours is one.
but
Are you
still,
sure?
y-
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I know for sure because the school that was closest to me, that I was in a special program for French. That's
yeah.
why I went to that school. The school that was closest to me was 2,000 people, but this one was a
Mm.
thousand. It was always a big thing. But yeah, it's no, it's true though because like we like in Canada we have three cities. We have Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver, and everyone pretty much aggregates to those cities. And it's not to say that like there's other cities that exist, but we have three major cities realistically. And maybe Ottawa you could count as well as like another major city, but um usually like it's those three are by far the most densely populated ones, and it does create a weird culture. It makes it very hard to tour Canada, for example. It's like
Yeah.
not a great country to tour as a musician for that reason. It's just really expensive to get around. Um, yeah.
So looking ahead, I suppose, is it now just promote the album? Obviously, the success of the EPs has been incredible. Get across as many shows as you can, festivals, whatever you can do to play a show. Open for a dream band would be obviously the icing on the cake this year. If My Chemical Romance are listening, give them a ring. The Strokes, if you're listening. Um, you know,
Yeah, they don't.
is that the kind of the dreams at the moment?
I think we have so many ambitions. We have too many ambitions, I would say.
You could never
Let's
have too
talk.
many.
I think we should talk about the fun one, which is, I mean, obviously, yes, we would love to.
Yeah.
The Strokes, My Chemical Romance, Julian, Gerard, if you're listening, we love you. Let us open for you. But obviously, one fun thing that we are looking at is we've been putting out these animated music videos for the
Yeah.
last little while. We've been doing it all with our friend Sierra, who's an amazing, amazing animator. X-Ray Alpha Charlie has her own YouTube channel. And we've been trying to expand that universe in really meaningful ways. And part of that could be, hopefully, I think our dream is to one day put together sort of a pilot or at least the concepts of a pilot for our own animated series or comic series,
Amazing.
whatever that ends up being. But
Freaking
that's something
Gorillas
that,
just beat us to the punch. We were already working on this. And
not the
then
gorillas.
Gorillas puts out this incredible hand painted like short movie right now. And I was like, damn it.
It was really cool. It's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't worry, there's always more space and room for more. And
Yeah.
when I see even your tour poster, I'm like, this looks iconic. This looks beautiful. Like it draws you in.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome. But
So
yeah,
yeah,
that's where our ambitions probably take us is I definitely we're promoting the record. We have a lot of songs that we really love and believe in on this record, and we want to make sure that they do as well as possible so that as many people can hear them and enjoy them. And yes, touring, it's probably our number one priority now is just getting the show to be the best possible show it can be.
Yeah,
And we have some really cool visual stuff that we're working on for that. But outside of that, definitely, I think David's right. Like getting more into like our animated world is a big goal. We made a video game in the past. I think there's talks and ideas about doing another one. I think like the thing I love about Good Kid as a project and the band is it's not just like music isn't the only creative expression that we can have through this project. It's the main one and it's definitely the most important one, but there's so many other avenues that we can explore through this project and get a lot of fulfillment individually in whatever we want. Twitch streaming is honestly also a big one, not necessarily for like the whole band, but I just really love the idea of showcasing the songwriting process or putting on really fun events and leveraging live streaming in a way that other artists have never done before, I think is
yeah,
really cool. So I think there's some like exciting boundaries we want to push on some things. So there's a lot cooking here that we're thinking about that is a little bit beyond just the album and promoting the album.
definitely. Even stuff like your posters on your website and stuff, that could be just a Netflix series or a movie.
Yeah.
As soon as you see it, you're not just like, oh my God, this is a. You could actually not even think this is a band. You could just be like, this is something I want to know more about. It just makes you kind of be sucked in and like, what is this? What? It kind of gives me those vibes of like when the Gorillaz came out, and I was like, "What is this? This project's crazy. This is what the guy from Blur with, and it doesn't sound anything like Blur." And
I
then,
didn't even know I didn't even know he was in the project until like 10 years after listening to the Gorillaz.
yeah,
And that's kind of a dream scenario a little bit. It's not that like, we want to be like known to a degree, but I think the Gorillaz as a project is one of the best projects for someone to be engaged with because like, it's him, but it's him and whoever else he wants to be in it. And it's not
yeah,
that big of it's not like, you know what I mean? There's not really a fandom necessarily around the individuals. A lot of it is around the characters in this world that he's built. And that's so cool because like, there's one day, I don't know, like say he found someone that he loved that he wanted to hand this project over to. He could one day, and the
that's
Gorillaz can live,
crazy, isn't it?
it could literally live beyond him. And that's kind of wild and cool, I would say. Like in a very interesting. I don't know if he ever would do it. I don't know the man, but I could see a world where he could hand it on to someone he trusts and say, like, you take the torch of the Gorillaz. This is an important project, and there's so much to do here, And
I
that
love that. I love that thought. I've never thought about it like that. Like you can just hand over the reins and be like, "I've done what I need to now. Just keep it going."
yeah, it's kind of like I don't know. Do you watch Doctor Who?
Yes.
Like Doctor Who's one of my favorite series because in a way it's endless. Like it
Yeah.
can and it's up to the interpretation of the new actor and the new team and the new writers and whoever takes on that story. And it's only because of like the structure of how they created that series that allows for that kind of storytelling. No, like very few other stories will ever allow for that kind of like adaptation and passing on the torch in a way that fits within the canon of the universe.
It is
It's
true.
like,
I can't think of many others. Obviously James Bond in films and stuff, you can always keep going with that because you can get a new actor. But the Marvel universe, but actual TV series, when you think about it, yeah, Doctor Who, there's a reason
yeah.
why it's been going so long because you can just keep that story going.
Yeah, and it's anyway. So that to me, like that's not necessarily our goal for Good Kid.
No, you
But
become the Doctor Who of a band.
yeah,
Yeah,
but even hearing you talk about how it reminds you of that is pretty awesome because early on in the band, before we knew how to market ourselves or there was like whatever, the number one way people found us is we just put our cover art on YouTube and like with the
yeah.
song. And the number one comment we always had was like, "Oh, I didn't know what this was. I clicked on it because the art was cool, and this is awesome." You know what I mean? And like, I
So
think that's
powerful.
that's
Yeah.
stuck with us. That the like artwork itself is like an integral part of the creative expression of the project. And then shout out to Gabriel Altros. He's been the artist that we've been working with from day one. We'll always work with him. He's done every single cover that we've ever done. And he'll continue to do them forever, I think.
Even when you guys hand it over.
Yes.
My final question for you both today, and normally I have one-on-one interviews, so it's going to be a bit of a strange one, but on every episode of Mark and Me, the guest that comes on gets to choose the final song that's played at the end of the podcast. It can be any piece of music by any band in the entire world that means a lot to them.
Oh my God.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
I mean, Jacob, we can decide on what's a song that we both love, you know? I mean, there's Odd Loop, big fan of Odd Loop.
Odd Loop is a great
Um,
song. It's a Japanese band, but Odd Loop has had a viral success recently, which is amazing because
you're right. Yeah.
that song came out like 15 years ago. There's a J-rock band that we love that like definitely inspired Good Kid. And there's this one song we used to play all the time. And very recently on TikTok, that song blew up, which I loved. I always love when a old song gets a new fandom because of social media. But what Last Dinosaurs?
Yeah, we love Last
11,
Dinosaurs.
what do you think about 11?
I think that's the right call.
Yeah.
The
I
fact
like
that
that.
you and
Yeah.
agreeing so comfortably and just like, yep, that's fine is wonderful because I've had people like, no, I don't want that. That means nothing to me. And then they're not on the same page. And then it doesn't even get down to the same genre, never mind a band. And then when we discover, right, we'll go with Weezer. And then someone's like, but I don't like that song. And then I'm like, oh my God, like 20 minutes of the podcast is deciding the song.
Well,
Well,
Last
we
Dinosaurs are
used
an
to do.
amazing. Yeah, go ahead, David.
I was gonna say we love Last Dinosaurs, and I think Jacob and I once did these pretty much endless streams of essentially we had a merch company that was doing our tab books.
Yeah.
But at the time they were unable to fold those books. So when they sent them to us, they were just sheets of long paper. And we realized that what we had to do was fold them ourselves. And it was going to take us like what do you think, Jacob? Like 20 hours, 30 hours of
No, way more than that. We did, I think for 6 months, every Saturday, we sat there folding tab books for like 5 hours or 4 hours or something.
You're right. Yeah, these things. So this never ended. It was half a year of folding tab, and we decided like, well, we should stream it. This is good for us to just like put it on Twitch. We'll fold these books, and the running joke for us was asking Google to play 11 by Last Dinos and see if it could do it because
And it could never do it. It never
it
did
could
it.
never. Yeah,
See, this
yeah. It
is
was
a
like
good reason to be the
playing
closing
Eileen
song.
by
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we love this band. When would this episode come out, Mark?
Um, we've got about 2 or 3 weeks. There's a bit of a backlog, but
Ooh.
there's some big stuff
Uh,
coming. Why?
okay. Well, I was gonna say something, but I don't think I can if it's coming up before the 26th of March.
I can do it after the 26th and then edit it if it's important.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, well, also this band, Last Dinosaurs, is first of all a very influential band to Good Kid. We've loved them for a long time. A lot of the band members like this band, and they're an incredible band from Australia. They're also opening for us on the UK tour, and it's like a
Wow.
bit. This is a big full circle moment for the band because when we were starting out, literally our first song, when our producer Crispin asked us for like references for mixes, we sent him Last Dinosaur song, which is also very funny because like he sent it back and we were like, wait, we don't actually like this. And he was like, well, that's exactly the reference you sent me. And then we're like, no, we don't want it to sound anything like this. We want it to be way more dry. And and he was like, well, like this is what you did. This is what you sent me. So they're definitely an inspiration, but we never like I don't think we ever crossed that threshold. But either way, Last Dinosaurs, we love this band, and they're opening up for us now in the UK
Oh,
EU
wow.
tour segment of this tour, and we're very excited. And so technically, we're not supposed to announce it until after the March 26th because they have a
Well,
big headlining
let's
show
hold
in
the
London.
let's hold the episode just till after the 26th because there's some really big episodes coming up over the next couple of weeks and it'll boost the numbers even higher, ready for
Oh,
you guys
awesome.
anyway. So just to give you an
Amazing.
idea,
Yeah.
over the next, this obviously won't be on the episode, but in the next couple of weeks we've got Less Than Jake,
Oh,
Blackstone
talked
Cherry.
about. I just talked about Less Than Jake as one of my first bands.
There we go. Lamb of God, Maximo Park, Killswitch Engage, Biohazard. So it's going to
Kill
be
Switch.
yeah.
Wow,
So we've got some
there are a
big
lot of
stuff
bands I
going.
like.
Maximo Park, which are great. And yeah, so to be fair, it wouldn't hurt to delay it to you know follow those
Yeah.
guys.
Well, Les and
There
Jake
you go.
definitely has no idea who we are, but if you have a chance to say hi from Good Kid, say Good Kid loves you.
Yeah, they're just lovely, great people that are really humble and still know just how important the fans are to them.
That's awesome to hear. They're so good.
Yeah, amazing. All right, guys. I will make sure I make it in September to one of your shows. Probably Birmingham's the closest to me, but
Oh yeah.
to kind of now
Great.
see as well this band that means so much to you open for you is a really good excuse to get there early as well. So
Yeah.
I'll make sure I come and say hello. But I just want to say thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having us, Mark.
It's been a lot of fun, and I can't wait for people to kind of start discovering you more. And the UK, those shows will be sweaty and hot, and the great venues, and there's some really. I'm literally going there next week to see Thrice. So
Nice.
yeah,
I love.
they are literally
There's so
there.
much. I think we have a lot of good music music taste in common. All the bands
Yeah.
we're referencing are my favorite bands.
Thrice
Yeah, Mark,
are.
you're pretty cool.
Yeah, Thrice are literally my probably favorite. Well, I'm wearing a shirt right now, which is theirs. So yeah,
Cool.
they're absolutely phenomenal. And I just think to evolve like Radiohead and other bands like Paramore, where you can never kind of stick to your kind of same sound and explore and evolve as musicians and never play it safe, that speaks volumes. So I don't think there's a better example than someone like Thrice. So
I agree.
awesome, guys. I will see you in September, and I will tag you in on all the socials. And if you can share the episodes and do all the usual stuff as well, and we'll get everyone starting to talk about you even more.
Hell yeah. Thank you, Mark.
Sounds great.
Awesome. Have a great rest of the day, guys, and I'll speak to you all soon.
All right, see ya.
Bye.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
I can take it, something's breaking and I don't think I'll be something to mend. I can take it, something's breaking and I don't think it will last to the end.
So there it is. Me and Good Kid. What a great interview. What a great band. And I think truly that Jacob and David were brilliant guests. I love the dynamic. I love the energy. I love the enthusiasm. And this band have only just come to me, like I said. I'm never going to sit here and be like, oh, I'm their biggest fan ever. They changed my life. They're just a new band that I've just discovered that I am falling in love with. As I said at the start of today's interview, their brand new album, which is called Can We Hang Out Sometime, is out now. There's a snippet of a couple of their songs on this interview just before we started, and you'll hear one that has just gone. That gives you a little bit of a flavour. They're so good. If you love bands like The Strokes, they're going to blow your mind. And please, as always, guys, let me know what you think. If you listen to the band and you've now discovered them because of Mark and me, I know I'm doing my job properly. Also, if you've enjoyed today's episode, take the time to share it. I bang on about this on every episode, but if you've got a Facebook account, a Twitter, an Instagram, a TikTok, please share the episode. It's literally the click of a couple of buttons on your phone or your iPad or whatever you use, and it goes a massive way. There'll be people on your friends list or your family that see the artwork for the episode because you shared it, they hit that play button, and before you know it, they're subscribed and they're listening to Mark and me every week, and all you did was move your fingers and thumb just that tiny little bit and hit those share buttons. That's how I rely on you guys out there to keep on helping Mark and me organically grow. I don't have funding, I don't have all this money coming in to invest in paid sponsored ads. It's all about word of mouth, so if you can share this episode, it really goes a long way. I also have a Patreon. You may have seen this month I've donated £500 to Cancer Research UK, and that's because Dustin from Thrice put a sticker on his guitar and gave a shout out to Mark and me last month in Manchester when Thrice played an amazing show. What I've done is all the money that has come in so far in January, February and March has all gone in a pot, and I've given it all to Cancer Research. So I think hopefully you appreciate that gesture, and it's something that means personally a lot to me. I have people around me all the time that I'm losing because of cancer, and it's something that really does hit hard. So please keep the money coming through from Patreon, and I'm going to invest it again into the podcast or another charity, but I'll never ever take from it myself. It all goes basically into the production of Mark and me and allows me to travel the world, not the world, that's bullshit, the UK, to do festivals, to do gigs, to do movie events and record more interviews for you guys at home. But thinking about that, maybe we try and go and travel the world at some point, but it'd need a lot more Patreons at that point. But anyway, before I go, I want to give a big shout out to Hayley from the Good as Gold group for making this interview happen as always. I want to give a shout out to the band for coming on Mark and me, and a massive thanks as always for you guys for taking the time to listen. It wouldn't be Mark and me without me giving a shout out to the sponsors. So quickly, I've got Richer Sounds. If you want to support this incredible company and buy yourself a new TV, a home cinema surround sound system, or anything to do with audio and visual, go to richersounds.com. or visit any of their high street stores and get the best advice out there, the best prices on the best equipment. And finally, Vice Press. I love movie posters, I love artwork, and I love the artists all around the world that officially do this official artwork for Vice Press. So if you go on their website, vicepressnews.com, add anything to your basket and use the code MarkandMe10, you will save yourself 10% off that first purchase. And I really am saying this with like true heart here. Everything they said is beautiful. I am an obsessed movie fan, especially with stuff like Jaws, The Thing, Halloween, and they do all the license prints for these, and you will want to buy absolutely everything. Go and have a look, treat yourself, and use that code MarkandMe10. Right, I'm going to go now because I want to get straight back on the editing and get you another episode. Things never slow down for Mark and me, but at the start of this year, I went 2 months without an episode, and I'm feeling guilty, I feel bad, I feel refreshed. So what I want to do now is put all that back into Mark and me, and you're going to get an episode again in only a few days' time. So maybe you went without for a couple of months, but I'm making up for lost time. So until the next episode, look after yourself, go and listen to Good Kid, and I'll speak to you all very soon.